What foods can I eat while on prednisone? If you're prescribed prednisone and you want to know, can I eat eggs, coffee, chocolate, yogurt? I'm here to answer your question today. I'm Dr. Megan, your prednisone pharmacist, and I've personally taken prednisone and I've been helping people on prednisone for years now. So I'd like to answer that question first with a general recommendation and then finally with specific answers to your food questions, and then conclude with the best way to really take prednisone. So the general recommendation, according to this scientific article that was published in 2022, nutritional recommendations for people who have to take prednisone a long time, it says that the most important thing is a decreased consumption of ultra processed foods. What does that mean? It means to eat less of foods that are processed in a plant. Basically, if you are buying a food and it comes in a package instead of straight from like the perimeter of the grocery store, you don't want that. You don't want the foods that's in the interior portion of the grocery store. So boxed cereals, boxed pastas, basically anything in a box, all of those types of things. And then we don't want chips. We don't want cookies. We don't want bakery foods that are ultra processed. If you can find something that's freshly ground whole grain wheat, then great. But if it's white bread with sugar added, we want to completely avoid that type of food because that's ultra processed. It's removed all of the extra parts of the bran of the wheat. It's removed all of the extra parts of the sugar, and it's just very few nutrients that you're getting. We want to avoid ultra processed foods. So essentially, to sum that all up, avoid sugar and avoid salt because those are high in ultra processed foods. So no more Oreos, no more bags of chips, even though that's actually what our bodies crave when we're on prednisone. Our bodies are being driven to get high calorie, highly palatable, delicious foods. And it's a false signal that we're receiving because our bodies are taking prednisone, and prednisone mimics a hormone that's naturally occurring called cortisol that is normally only in high amounts during complete emergencies like a famine or a war. And since you're not in either a famine or a war, you don't need to be stockpiling all of these calories, right? You're in a healthy, safe place. So specifically, what else should we avoid while on prednisone? We should avoid sugar, salt, coffee, because coffee can really be stressful for the adrenals and can worsen osteoporosis. And same with alcohol. We want to avoid alcohol while on prednisone. I have a whole video blog post all about that if you want to learn more specifically about alcohol and prednisone and all of the complications of taking the combination. So then let's move on to specific food questions you may have when it comes to, can I take prednisone with this food? So can I take prednisone with bananas? Yes, you can take prednisone with bananas. Bananas are a great food to be eating while on prednisone since they're high in potassium and fiber, and they're kind of filling as far as a fruit goes. We don't want to only eat fruit. We want to balance it out, but bananas are a great food to eat with prednisone. What about, can I eat prednisone with eggs? Yes, you can eat prednisone with eggs. Eggs, again, are a great food to eat with prednisone. They are high in protein and good fats and a lot of other nutrients that you need while on prednisone. So yes, go ahead and eat prednisone with eggs. The one thing is you want to avoid a lot of extra salt when you're making your eggs. So just use the minimum amount of salt possible while preparing your eggs. Can I eat prednisone with caffeine? Can I take prednisone with caffeine? And back to coffee, we want to avoid caffeine, coffee, things if all possible while on prednisone, with the understanding that you might be rather exhausted if you're tapering and going through withdrawals. So you want to stay alive. And if caffeine is the only thing keeping you awake, then it's understandable, but to minimize if at all possible. And then along with the caffeine is most sources of caffeine are highly processed, ultra processed foods like Coke, any carbonated beverage, those are ultra processed, made with high fructose corn syrup often, or even the low versions are really not good for people on prednisone either. So if at all possible, stay off caffeine, soda, carbonation, soda pop, whatever you call it, while on prednisone. Can I take prednisone and eat milk with it? Yes, you can drink milk when you're taking your prednisone. Keep milk in moderation. Have other beverages, preferably water in addition, but milk is just fine. And one great thing about milk is the calcium, because when we're on prednisone, we are losing calcium. And so there is calcium in milk. Can I eat yogurt with prednisone? Yes, you can eat yogurt with prednisone. Yogurt is a great source of protein and fat and calcium and probiotics. So those are all good things as long as you're using the most minimally processed yogurt possible. So avoiding the sugar-laden things like Yoplait and going for a more simple, like minimal list of ingredient yogurt, that if it's best if it's really just milk and the bacteria. If you can do something with just those two ingredients, that's the best. You can make your own yogurt, that's even better. But having the lowest amount of sugar added, so a plain yogurt is the very best way to get yogurt while on prednisone. And I eat ice cream while on prednisone. This is a generally considered ultra processed, calorie dense food that you want to crave so much while on prednisone, and ice cream unfortunately should be avoided because it's generally just refined milk, refined sugar, refined, all of the ingredients are really refined. And so if you have a way of eating it that doesn't include lots of added sugar, that might be better, but generally we want to avoid ice cream while on prednisone. Can I eat chocolate while on prednisone? And most sources of chocolate are ultra processed, highly refined, and are not a good choice. But if you can find a type of chocolate that is, for example, dark chocolate with very minimal added sugar and really high quality ingredients, generally a more expensive kind, then that's possible to take with prednisone. But usually chocolate is like a gateway drug to other highly refined foods that we love to eat and we're craving even more than usual while on prednisone. So it's best to avoid chocolate, but if you can find a really high quality one, then that's, it's, you work with your body, your doctor, and decide whether that's best for you. If there are any other foods you're wondering, can I take prednisone with blank? Comment below. I would love to know what other foods you're wondering about and answer those questions. Finally, after covering all of these food-related questions when it comes to prednisone, what is the best way to take prednisone? Should I eat food with it or not? So when I went through pharmacy school, the general advice given to pharmacists to share with patients taking prednisone is always take prednisone with food. And the point of that is that theoretically, taking prednisone with food would decrease your risk of gastric ulcers, like holes in your gut. But the evidence hasn't actually shown that to be true. It's probably more likely to be a drug interaction between prednisone and ibuprofen. So avoiding ibuprofen is probably a good idea. But if taking prednisone with food is causing you to delay taking the prednisone, then we want to avoid that. And going back to the fact that prednisone is mimicking our natural hormone cortisol, and your body actually normally makes cortisol in a beautiful rhythm throughout the day. And usually it gets higher and higher and higher as the sun is about to come up. And then usually the highest moment is at sunrise, and then it slowly decreases throughout the day. So I'm going to quote a scientific article about this. It says, to mimic the normal diurnal rhythm, that's like that circadian rhythm cycle of it being high in the morning and low at night, one would ideally take prednisone immediately before waking. So you can't actually take prednisone before waking, right? Because you're asleep, which is not possible, they say. Taking prednisolone after breakfast causes an unnecessary delay and does not improve absorption. So another study I read said food does not affect either tablet with respect to mean plasma prednisolone concentrations. So taking it with or without food doesn't increase the amount of prednisone you're getting. So there's no point according to like the absorption of the drug itself. We don't need to do that. So I'm going to repeat that again. Taking prednisolone after breakfast causes an unnecessary delay and does not improve absorption. We would advise taking prednisolone immediately upon waking before breakfast to produce a detectable concentration of prednisolone as early as possible. So it's very best to take prednisone immediately upon waking. So if that means putting the pill bottle right by your bed and the glass of water ready in the morning, take that prednisone, swallow it. That's the very, very best way to take it. But every single person is different. Every person's disease situation is different. There are some people who need to take it at bedtime, and that is something you need to work out with your doctor. But for the general population, you should take it first thing in the morning, immediately upon waking, with some water to swallow it, and then eat a healthy breakfast thereafter. That is how to take prednisone. And if you're wondering, now I know what foods to avoid, what nutrients do I need? I have a download of all of the nutrients that you need while on prednisone. It's a one-page printable, and you just click the link below and I will email it to you immediately, and you'll know exactly what nutrients you do need instead of what to avoid while on prednisone. Signing off as Dr. Megan, your prednisone pharmacist.